Excited to be here, everybody. Happy Friday. Get going here. So, yeah, like Hannah said, I'm the CEO of Leadzolo. If you guys use us already, then hopefully you understand some of our core values around transparency. And I'll talk about that a little bit today. I'm not going to steal the show too much because you guys probably are already swimming in this red ocean that I'm going to kind of define. But we focus on generating real-time motivated seller leads and with an emphasis on exclusivity and inbound. So I'm curious. I like doing chat. So I know that some of you guys are on camera. Thank you for being here and being present. Like Hannah was saying, there's so many distractions. I actually deleted social media apps off my phone like little over a year ago, and it actually completely changed my chemistry. Not a TED Talk on that, but I appreciate you guys who are present here. And if you're in a good space, I'm curious to drop me in the chat like a yes or a one or literally just anything. If you guys have ever called a seller and it doesn't matter how you got the lead, um, and they're like, please stop calling me. I'm getting so many calls. Has that ever happened to you guys? Drop something in the chat if that has ever happened to you guys. You're calling a seller and they're like, how many freaking calls am I going to get? They're like, I'm getting hammered with calls. Please stop calling me. And they think it's you for some reason. They're like, can you please stop calling me or your company? And you're like, dude, what? I just got your information, or I'm calling the same list. So thank you, Haley. Thank you, Michael. I know that this happens a lot. Um, and well, good on you, Haley. If you're double and triple dialing and chasing people down, that's good. You should be doing that. Um, but the reality is, and I always say this, and I say this in kind of in joke. I just did a video on this. If you guys are pulling lists, there's nothing wrong with pulling lists, cold calling, smiling, dialing. Everybody's got to start somewhere. And if you have more time than money, cold calling is such a great way to get in front of people. Or it's a way to get in front of people. I don't know if it's great. Because what I have there at the bottom is true. Great investors obsess over ROI. And they obsess over ROI in terms of money and time. Because you guys know that your time is your money. And something that I think about a lot too is my mental model is how do I get what an asymmetrical return on my investment? Asymmetrical just being a fancy word for like, big, right? Small inputs, big outputs. And I want the scale to really stack in my favor. And you guys should too. And the reality of this red ocean with wholesalers and with lead generation for real estate investors is that if you guys are just cold calling, you are calling the same exact list that like 3 to 5 other wholesalers are calling, and you guys are just talking to the same people. And I'm not saying that there's not overlap. A homeowner's a homeowner, a filtered list. A paper lead is a paper lead or a web form fill is still going to get shown other ads, especially once they click on it. But the reality is, if you're dealing with just outbound stuff, whether that's email, SMS, or cold call, you are hitting up the same exact people who did not ask for you to hit them up. And so the context and the psychology and the frame of the conversation when you get into an actual sales conversation flips on its head completely. I'm curious if you guys could also stick with me, like who here either is or has gotten PPL leads, like inbound paper lead leads. Like the homeowner filled out the form, they gave you their information, they opted in, and now they're waiting for your call. Who here with us has done that or is doing that? If you guys are either using PPL, you have used PPL, and particularly like inbound leads. Thank you, David. Thank you, Haley. So, and I'm curious if there's maybe like something else I'm missing, whether you guys are doing PPC campaigns, you're running your own ad campaigns, you're doing direct mailers, like what else are you guys doing? If not cold call and if not inbound PPL, like Haley's doing, what else are you guys doing? Thank you, Peter. What's up, Peter? So the psychology of this, I've worked in sales for my entire career. Um, the psychology of an inbound lead versus an outbound lead is a night and day difference that if you have not experienced, I really want to invite you to experience. So much so to where like I will make it extremely easy for you guys to do so. If you guys are on the EZREI Dispo subscription, I actually give you guys free lead credits. And Dave and Hannah, we can talk about that when and if it makes sense to talk about that. But if you're just relying on the red ocean and you're just swimming through the lists, then you're dealing with all this kind of stuff on screen. You're talking to the same people. You're spending a lot more time dialing and getting hung up on than you are actually talking to sellers. And again, nothing wrong with cold calling. We got to start somewhere. But Leadzolo and Pay Per Lead wants to offer you guys a different way to do things, which is this right here. Just simply stop calling tired lists because these sellers are waiting for you. Yes, it costs money for the leads, but you're only paying for a qualified lead. I have a very reasonable return policy, and you're paying to get a sales qualified lead. And there needs to be some definition around that because a sales qualified lead is basically someone who has opted in, consented for you to contact them legally. We are very compliant with TCPA compliance. And we were so ready for that legislation to go through because it was going to like put another nail in the cold calling coffin, but it is what it is. And I have also, you are talking to a guy who has tried to make cold calling work as well. I have hired some of the best companies in the real estate investing, cold calling space. And there's just always a lot of problems that go along with it. So if you're doing this or if you're hiring these companies, there's nothing wrong with that. You are just going to have to deal with a lot more stuff. And that we just really can kind of hit the easy button on that and skip all of that headache. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the way that we do things is we have hundreds of sellers fill in our forms every single day on social media. We are running ads across all the major platforms on digital marketing and social media. It's primarily Meta and Google. So you're talking about YouTube video, you're talking about Google search, and then with Meta, you're talking about Instagram and Facebook. That is where all the eyeballs are. And demographically, that's where all the homeowners are still spending plenty of time as well. So we have hundreds and thousands of sellers fill out these forms. They have to fill out multiple questions. They have to give contact information to strangers on the internet and consent to be contacted. They sat and watched an ad. They filled out a form. They answered questions about their property, their reason for selling, their time frame, the condition of their property. It's pretty basic, but they still have to manually fill that in. And the reason I'm bringing that point up is if anybody's ever hired an agency or looked at other lead gen sources or done this themselves, there is an option to generate leads called a Facebook lead form. And that is garbage in compared to what we do. You're talking about a quick like autofill with information that's almost always inaccurate versus having to manually fill out this form. Our addresses are USPS verified. The phone numbers are Twilio verified. And these leads are then delivered to you guys in real time. I'm curious, anybody who's still with me in chat, what's a good, air quotes, what's a good speed to lead? Like when you get a lead, if a lead comes in through PPL or through PPC or something like that, or if Haley, one of your cold callers, is like, hey, I've got this person, you know, they said they're open to a cash offer and they want to talk. Like, what's a good speed to lead, do you guys think? Haley says 15 minutes of it popping up. Nice, David. Yep. Yep. There's a lot of data on this. Nice, Michael. Thank you. There's a ton of data on this. Like big B2B organizations have done millions and millions of data points on this stuff. This is crazy. Aaron hit the nail on the head. Mr. Hill. 30 seconds, guys, is where the high water mark is. And literally as it goes, minutes and minutes tick by, the contact rate and the conversion rate drops off of a cliff. And this is like high level B2B, mid-market and enterprise sales. When a busy executive fills in a form or fills in a contact form or fills out a lead or books a demo request, if SDR teams or sales teams are not on them within seconds and single digit minutes, the conversion rate starts to drop off of a cliff. Now that's because the point that we actually talked about, which is what you're dealing with right now personally, is that everybody's distracted. We live in this amazing modern world where we have computers in our pockets. You might be listening to me on one of those supercomputers. Well, you are, if you're listening to me on laptop, desktop, or a smartphone. And so we deliver leads in like 15 seconds of them hitting, yes, I want a cash offer on my property. Within 15 to 20 seconds, that lead's in your inbox or it's in your CRM if you have it webhooked to my portal. So the difference maker on the sales side, this is still the biggest variable, speed. And so we deliver those to you guys in real time on our bid system. People can buy leads off of our marketplace. It's kind of like a fun clearance rack that we do. Like these are leads that are being previously generated. Yes, they're cheap, but they've been sitting. They're still exclusive, but they've been sitting. And so the real magic happens, especially when you couple the EZREI, TC, and Dispo side of things, if you guys have a good sales process, and I'm doing my job and generating you guys qualified leads, you're getting a reasonable contact rate. If you're on the leads quickly and you have a reasonable framework to do sales discovery, find motivation, and comp, then this is the easy button that we're talking about today. Because we also give you guys the ability to control your bids, your budget, your lead types that you guys want with us. And that starts to get into some buy box stuff. Now, am I ever as a PPL company going to be able to give you guys like 3 bed, 3 bath, like minimum, 1,500 square foot, no bigger than this, no more than that? No, I can't get that specific. It would be way too expensive to generate those leads at scale. But I'm giving you guys single family, multifamily homes, off market deals that want to sell their house in 6 months. And they're responding to a cash offer ad that's talking about selling their house quickly, conveniently, and in as is condition. And so we generate these for you guys at scale. And you guys have the opportunity to really control more of that model every day. And we give you a really easy platform to do so as well. So that's the Leadzolo difference. That's the pay per lead difference. And we do things a little bit differently. If you guys have ever used any of my competitors or if you used a pay per lead company before, we like to do things a little differently because we have our own software. We've built a really nice system where you can actually kind of segment out the leads that you want. So that lead type that I just identified, that's what we've kind of found like most wholesalers and investors are looking for. They're looking for residential stuff. They don't like condos. You guys obviously want off market stuff. And you want someone who's looking at a ready soon timeline, someone who's ASAP 1 to 2 months or within 6 months. So we carve all those out, and those are our primary lead type. We have other cheaper lead types, and you can bid on those to like increase your volume and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. But like it's about our inbound web form lead. And we'll put a QR code up here on this next slide where you guys can get more information about that. You can create a free account, poke around on our marketplace, check us out, and even buy leads. What I'd recommend is book a call and like literally grill my team and ask them all the questions that you might have. And they are instructed to answer your questions and be helpful and supportive and not to hard close. You guys are already sales experts. So, we don't do any kind of stuff like that. So the issue that we want to continue to identify today, that's enough about leads and enough about Leadzolo. And yes, that stuff's very important, but I always like to say like, we're in the gasoline business. Like I'm in the fuel business. Like leads are the fuel to put in the car. And the real work starts once you actually get a seller to sign on the dotted line on the contract, right? Because these are all the things that you guys have to do. And let me tell you, if you try to make my marketing process in your investment business, I am sorry to say on this Friday afternoon, May 15th, 2026, you are going to lose against my marketing team. We are way better at it than you. We have billions of impressions in our pixel, if you know what that is. I have generated over 1 million seller leads, web form fills on these platforms, and we have spent 40 plus million on ads in the past several years. Like we are really good at it. And I'm confident to say that against pretty much anybody in this industry. But if you're trying to do all of this stuff, you're trying to have a marketing department, you're distributing and managing the leads, you're being a salesperson or a sales manager. Sorry, Michael. Once you're acquiring the deal and getting the signature, then you got to go try to find the buyer and deal with all the TC stuff and the title issues and, all the closing back and forth. And, there's so much of this business that I'm still learning from guys like David and from people like you on this call, because I don't have a background in real estate. I have a background in marketing and lead gen and sales. That's what I'm really good at. And it is such a no-brainer for me, which is why I love the partnership that we have with EZREI to just say, these are the experts. They've done what they've done, and David's about to talk about it. Why would I want to try to do all the heavy lifting here? Because for me as an executive, I already have to wear too many hats. And, good investors, good entrepreneurs, good business owners they're focused at a certain point. Once you've been done wearing all the hats and you've got a proof of concept and you've got a scalable model, well, now I need to take these hats off and put them on people who are way more equipped and skilled. And so if you're still trying to do all these tiles on screen, then unfortunately, it is going to probably burn you out before it's going to break you out of whatever breakthrough you're trying to make in your life, economically, financially, time freedom, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, that's really when the hard work gets. So with all that said, before I hand things over to David, If you want to learn more about how we do leads, how we generate real-time exclusive motivated seller leads to you, scan the QR code, go to leadzolo.com, scan the QR code right now to book a call. There's some info on screen. We'll ask you some basic information about your investment business so we can better serve you. And yeah, because we can't help everybody. But if you're an investor and you're looking for wholesale deals, you're looking for transactional stuff, you're looking for fix and flip stuff, and you guys are doing any kind of inbound or outbound lead gen right now, we would love a conversation. We will gladly offer you guys an incentive to get started as well. I like to give away credits to help you guys get to a sample size because I know that when you work a reasonable sample size with a good process, and especially when you supercharge your investment business with EZREI, you guys are going to be solid.
Guys, did everybody scan that? Because it's going to go away in a second. And I'm going to talk a lot about other stuff really fast. So make sure
Yep.
you take out your phone and you go ahead and scan that because it might not, I don't think it comes back here. We'll see. Cody, Hannah, thank you so much. I'm going to do my very best to keep up with you guys. That was some amazing information. Guys, I've got a lot of stuff to share with you. And, today what we're talking about is wholesaling in 2026. How do we do this? How do we do it at scale or grow, whatever term you want to use? So we're going to really lay this out, get really granular on exactly how to do this and what we see working over and over and over again. I'll talk about the number of deals that I've done and what I've seen in the last 4 years, which is a crazy amount of time in this business, and also through EZREI Closings, which is the nation's largest transaction coordination company, through our 9,000 files, what we're seeing. So is everybody good with that? Do we want to talk about that? And so a little bit of data. It's not really that boring, but let's do this. Before we get started, I do have to talk about something that's a little on the negative side. And I know they always say keep these things positive, but this is something that nobody really prepares you for, and your guru doesn't teach you, and the coach doesn't talk about it. And I don't see this on TikTok or Instagram. And honestly, the reason I want to bring this up at the beginning is because this is where a lot of investors just get literally punched in the mouth and kicked in the knees. Because getting the contract, it's exciting. I get it. When I was trying to do my first wholesale deal in 2009, I told people, listen, I will cartwheel down Main Street naked if I could just get this deal. And nobody wants to see all of this. I promise you that. But that's how exciting it is, right? I've never done any of the good drugs, but I feel like, getting that first contract is probably what the first hit of Coke feels like. Do not comment if you know. So it's exciting, right? And you finally got that seller to say yes. You finally locked up that deal and you think the hard part is over. But in reality, right, the contract is not the finish line. It's just where you're starting. And after doing this and working over 9,000 files nationwide, this is one of the biggest things that we've learned. A signed contract means absolutely nothing until that deal actually closes. And this is where the chaos starts. So we've already talked about where to get leads, right? That is one of the biggest things. I coach a lot of people. And one of the things that I hear on and on is, how many leads do you have you're working? 12, 15, 14. Like that's not enough. You need a good supply of leads. And then you've got to get those under contract, right? But this is where all the fun really begins, right? Because now you've got to deal with buyers and title issues and communication and underwriting and managing the seller, right? And doing the dispo process, which is like a whole business all in its own. It's a completely different thing. And timelines and paperwork and closings, and you're renegotiating, and your buyers sometimes fall out, or Hannah can tell you a million stories about how they decide to change the transaction midstream, and maybe they were hard money and now they're going to be a lender or DSCR or whatever it is, right? And this is why so many of these deals die, right? Not because the investor couldn't get the contract. I know you all can do that, right? But because you don't have the right systems and support or buyers and infrastructure after that contract is signed. And this is the whole reason that this partnership exists. And we're so excited to be partnered with Cody because Leadzolo helps you solve the lead problem. But what happens after the contract? That's where EZREI Closings and our Dispo team, we can really step in and help just augment and amplify everything that you're doing, because our job is to make sure that you don't just get opportunities. And that's what contracts are. They're opportunities to make money. Our job, my job, is to make sure that you actually get paid. And what we're going to talk about here today, we're going to show you exactly how modern wholesalers, people today, are simplifying this process in 2026. Not how it was done in 2009, 10, and 11, but by focusing on the highest value activities and plugging into systems that help you move faster with less chaos. So let's jump right in. Again, if you want to screenshot this or take a picture, that is cool. Again, very few things feel like getting that contract signed, right? You get that text from the seller, the DocuSign comes in, you lock up the deal. Confidence is through the roof, right? Ring the bell, baby, hit the gong, order the jet. We are going to be rich, right? Let's be honest, we've all done this. Everybody's done this, right? We start doing the math in our head, right? Thinking about that assignment fee, thinking about getting paid. What am I going to do with that money? And I will tell you, it is very easy to say, I'm making $20,000. You could spend that 20,000 five different times, right? And especially when I was new, and maybe you've experienced this as a newer investor, that moment feels huge. Hell, it's pretty big for us experienced people too. It's fun because that contract, it validates all the hard work that we did, right? The marketing, the follow up, the seller conversations, the rejection, right? That happens. The stress, the worries, the late nights, it finally feels like I did it. Like I am going to do this. Wholesaling works. It works, by the way. But this is it. This is my ticket. But here's the reality, again, that people don't talk about enough is, because I think it sets really bad expectations. The contract is just the beginning. And now the real work begins, right? You've got to move the deal, find the buyer, coordinate title, solve problems, manage all the communication. And sometimes it's like herding cats that are on crack, keeping the seller engaged and get all the way to the closing table. And this is why so many of these deals fall apart, not because you couldn't get the contract, but because, again, after the fact, it's the systems, the support, the buyers, the infrastructure, and just that experience of how to handle all of the bullets that are coming at you, because this is a simple business. It really is. We can explain wholesaling to a third grader, right? We're going to buy low, we're going to sell high. Very easy. It's people that make it complicated. And again, that's why this partnership exists. Leadzolo, they help solve the lead problem. We come in at EZREI Closings with our Dispo team, and we help you solve everything that happens after the contract. And after handling more than 9,000, actually almost 10,000 files nationwide in all 50 states, all deal types, wholesale, novation, sub-2, creative, notes, novation, I don't know if I said that, we've learned something that's really important. The investors who are scaling the fastest in 2026 are not trying to do everything themselves anymore. They're not. They're simplifying. They're focusing on revenue generating activity, locking up good opportunities, and then plugging into a system that can take it from there and do the work. And that's, again, what we're going to talk about today. So let me show you guys, again, something really different, because this will really break that down and explain why some people are scaling and other people's are just burning themselves out, because I was this way, right? I was trying to do everything the old way. The old way. The old way. It was bad. It was very bad. And that old model was exhausting, right? Hiring VAs too early because you weren't quite there, or trying to go build this giant buyers list, or maybe go find your buyers first and then do it backwards, which is absolutely crazy. Or trying to learn Dispo from scratch, or listening to somebody on TikTok who said, if you find a good contract, it'll just sell. Nonsense. By the way, a good contract sitting on your desk does not magically sell itself. And then there's the looking for title companies every single day in Facebook groups. I'm like, does anybody know? I see this. Does anybody know a good title company in West Virginia? Do not take that person's advice. And then buying software after software, right? Investor Lift, Investor Base, PropStream, like it just never ends, right? Everybody and their brother is pitching you another software and another monthly subscription. And then again, after 24 years, I've seen people who come into the business so hot, ready to go, but they start switching strategies, and it's lease options, storage units, multifamily, land development. Like they're just all over the place, wondering why nothing sticks. And what eventually happens? It's just chaos, and they get no traction, right? And they're spending so much time trying to work on the business and tweak it that they stop focusing on the thing that actually creates revenue. Who knows what it is? Who knows? What's your job? Talking to sellers, locking up contracts. Do it again. Talk to sellers, lock up contracts. Talk to sellers, lock up contracts. And the people who are growing the fastest, the businesses that are just absolutely popping, right? And we had a number of clients who came in last year who had done nothing, and by the end of the year had netted over $1 million. So I am here to tell you it is 100% possible. We see it happening all the time because they're not trying to become an expert at every single part of the business anymore. I tried that. We did it, but it was hard and it took a long time, right? But the quick success, right? The people who are making money fast, and everybody here does want to make money fast, right? Show me in the chat. Like, I want to make sure I'm actually talking to people, not just a bunch of blank screens here. Say yes. Yes, if you want to make money, right? There we go. 2 people. That's great. All right. But they're focusing on getting quality leads. Cody's got you. locking those opportunities up. You guys understand how to lock up contracts and then plugging into the systems and partnerships that already work, that are already proven, and staying in that revenue generating mode. That's the shift. And it's one of the biggest mindset changes that we're seeing people adopt all across the industry because there's no bonus points for struggling. You don't get extra credit for working 14 hours a day, right? We didn't sign up and get our LLC doc and get a little paper that says you're on easy street now. You've done it all. No, the goal is not do everything yourself. The goal is build a model that is scalable, repeatable, and profitable. Why did you get into real estate to start with? It was not to work 14 hours a day. Trust me, I did it. It is not great for your life. This is, again, exactly why we have this partnership so that you can have those motivated seller opportunities to turn into contracts and you can focus on those conversations. And then we can step in with over 5.9 million buyers, our in-house marketing team, our team of certified coordinators, title management, partner support, and all of this can instantly today give you a nationwide dispositions operation. I'm going to talk to you in a minute about the best markets to be in because that's so crucial. You could take those markets. You can go right to Cody's website, Leadzolo, boom, pick the deals that are in the right spots that will make you the 20, 30, 40, $50,000 assignment fees. That's it. So here's what I'm saying. Instead of trying to build all of this from scratch, which is hard, I've done it. Like trust me, it's a lot of money and sometimes a failure. You can now plug into one today, right? And this is how modern wholesalers are scaling faster today than ever before. So this is really where it gets interesting because again, after handling this 9,000 times, here's what we've learned. You have to stop operating on opinions and feels and vibes because you saw somebody post that they did this one deal and now you're going to run all your marketing there because they did this one deal, which they may or may not have done. Because I hope I'm not the first person to tell you that not everything on social media is real. You want to start operating in patterns. And guys, after 9,000 deals and 24 years of doing this, the patterns are incredibly obvious, right? Not all markets are the same. Not all buyers are the same, and not all contracts are equal. And some deals will move fast. Some deals are going to be a nightmare from day one. You're going to want to take a fork and dig your eyeballs out and wish you never heard about real estate wholesaling, right? And some should never be contracted at all because they are going to drag you into a pit of despair and just time waste. And this is the biggest mistake that so many wholesalers make, and I see it every single day. They just think, oh, a deal's a deal, but it's not. Has anybody here ever had a deal they had to cancel? Put it in the chat. How much did you think you were going to make on that deal? Did you have to cancel it and why? Okay, a deal is not a deal. It's not. A contract in the wrong market with weak buyer activity or unrealistic pricing can absolutely just drain your time and energy and momentum. And you're like, what am I doing? How is it that everybody else is having success and I'm out here just struggling? They told me to go buy $5 leads nationwide in rural areas. We'll come back to that. Meanwhile, the wholesalers in the right markets, right, that have strong demand, man, those deals are moving quick and consistently, and people are getting paid. This is why we've become absolutely obsessed with data because data removes all the emotion and the feels and the vibes and the whatever, right? After enough transactions, you start to see where buyers are active, where investors are spending money, where assignment fees are the strongest, where deals are actually moving at, right? And where wholesalers keep getting stuck because we see it all the time. We have over 600 clients nationwide. Trust me, we see this. Some are big, some are small. Some are the biggest gurus that are out there, and some are, people who do one deal every 3 months, right? So I have the data. I will put our data up against anybody's on closing. Again, the people who are succeeding, they're not guessing anymore. They're following the patterns. They're following buyer activity and they're following that data. And I'm going to show you exactly why this matters so much as far as your ability to get paid goes. So this is it. 50% of wholesale deals do not close. Think about that for a second. All the marketing you did, all the calls, all the follow-up, all the appointments, all the negotiations, everything that you did, it's literally a coin toss on whether or not that deal is going to give you a payday. This isn't just my data either. This is from First American Title Insurance, the largest real estate data collector in the country, and from some of the biggest CRM guys that run them that are my friends. They tell me the exact same thing. You have a 50% chance nationwide, right? Like these are the numbers. Again, you're buying in your own backyard, you're closing on everything and rehabbing it. You probably close 9 out of 10 like I did here in Chattanooga. But we've also got people closing 20% of their wholesale deals when they're working virtually. This is a big problem in our industry. This is why you're having so much regulation come out, right? And most wholesalers don't realize why until it's too late. They just think, well, if I can get more contracts, I can make more money. Wrong. I promise you. Contracts alone do not create revenue. Closings do. And the biggest killers we see over and over again, right, are weak buyers, bad markets, poor underwriting, title issues, which my God, never stop. Hannah and I were having a conversation this morning about how it just seems like title issues are just coming out the windows right now. Unrealistic pricing, either on the seller or the buyer side, and then just communication breakdowns, right? Somebody has to keep all of these parties on the same page. And this is why so many people, they get into wholesaling for freedom, but then they're trapped financially, right? And they're busy, right? They feel busy. I feel busy sometimes at the end of the day. But are you profitable? Did you make traction, right? Working hard, but not getting paid consistently. And for the love of God, guys, rural markets, the failure rates are off the chart. There's weak buyers, or if sometimes none, low investor activity, nobody's investing there, and the inventory moves really, really slow, right? So a lot of investors and wholesalers are spending months chasing these deals that were never realistically going to move in the first place, but they got the lead for $5, right? That's why this matters so much. The people who are having the most success in 2026 are not focused on getting contracts. They're focused on, pay attention, getting contracts that close. And this was why it was so important for us to come on today and do this, because we see this every day behind the scenes. You want to know what's going on behind the curtain at the Wizard of Oz? You want to know what the biggest people are seeing? This is it right now. And when you understand that, that's a completely different mindset, because dead deals do not pay your bills. They don't pay the electricity. They don't put shoes on your kid. I have two English bulldogs that need cookies all the time, and I need to make sure these deals are closing, right? And in the next slide, I want to show you exactly how we approach that problem differently. So this is where the entire model kind of comes together. It's the bedrock of what we're doing. And here's a saying that I have that we've talked about in all of my different companies, the rental companies, the oil companies, the wholesaling, the transact, whatever it is, right? Simple is scalable. Simple is scalable. That's it, right? So if you want to do this simply and successfully, you want to identify markets where deals are actually moving and buyers are active. Simple. It's not hard. I'll show you in a minute how to do it. Focus on what matters the most, which is talking to sellers and locking up contracts. Then you submit that deal to us. I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. Let our team evaluate it. We'll put it through our pass, fail, maybe system, right? And that's based on market strength, buyer activity, spread, liquidity, meaning is there money in the deal? And is this a sellable, right? And if it's a pass, we will go to work. You stay focused on now you go get your next lead, lock up your next contract, because getting more leads means getting more contracts, means getting more money. That's it. That's the key. This is very simple, right? But it is not trying to juggle every single part of the business. That's why the system works so well for wholesalers trying to grow without drowning in all that chaos. So let me show you real quick exactly what pass, maybe, fail, what it really means, right? This is what a strong opportunity looks like. Good market, strong buyer activity, healthy spread, real demand, numbers that make sense. These are the kinds of deals that serious investors want to be involved in. We have a ton of buyers that we are talking to every single day, and they're telling us exactly what they want. It's no hocus pocus. It's not the Jedi mind trick, right? Even great deals in the right markets, priced correctly, they still need the right process to get them across the finish line, because deals don't magically close themselves, right? And this is what we do. So you still need the right buyers, strong marketing, good communication, title coordination, follow-up, seller management, and somebody who's driving that process forward while you're out getting your next contract. And this is where a lot of people get stuck, because they're constantly changing hats, right? Marketing, acquisitions, dispositions, title, transactions, right? So if we identify this as a pass, thumbs up, we're going to take this deal, this is where we go to work, right? And our team will start marketing. We'll leverage our nationwide buyer network for you, right? We'll take care of all the title coordination, the communication, everything starts moving. An entire machine is just going to wrap around your deal and take it to the finish line. We literally call it shock and awe marketing because that's how good we are at what we do. As good as Cody is on the acquisition side, this is how good we are on the dispo side. We have done this more than anybody else in the country. I'm trying to rack my brain and think of somebody who might have sold more deals or been doing this longer, and I cannot come up with one, right? So for the wholesaler, for you, for the investor, you stay focused on what creates revenue, finding opportunities from Cody, locking them up into contracts. And that's the beauty of this. You don't have to build all this infrastructure yourself in order to grow and scale and make more money. And we all raised our hand. That was why we got into this business. Now, not every deal is an obvious pass, right? Not everything gets the thumbs up. Some fall into the maybe category. And that's where experience and data become incredibly important, right? Experience matters. Again, just because it didn't get a clear pass doesn't mean it's dead either. So we'll look at that deal and say, hey, if we had a little more room here, I think we could absolutely get this to move. Or if we had a little bit more time, we could probably get this sold, right? Like you need 30 days, right? We need time to sell it and then time to get it closed. Or maybe, that spread's just a little thin. Buyer demand's a little slow in this market. Maybe we need 90 days on this one. What can we do, right, to fix this deal so that it's sellable? Because you don't want to buy leads and lock stuff up and then throw the deal away, right? So timing is certainly an issue. And again, this is where you have a lot of opportunity or it can be a big mistake, right? Because our team, we're not getting emotionally attached to the deal. What we are doing is looking at it through the lens of buyer activity, speed of which we can turn this into a check for you, profitability, again, liquidity, is there money in the deal, and the probability of getting it closed, right? What's going on with the deal? Because a lot of times it's more than the house, right? And there's probably nobody better that can talk about this than Hannah, but it's, are there 14 heirs? Is there bankruptcy? Is there liens? Is everybody fighting with each other? Like, what is going on, right? And all of this is important because we're not here to waste your time. We're trying to help you become more strategic. And for us internally, we typically target deals with like a $20,000 spread. Who wants to get paid $10,000? Me. I love it. It's great. So do you. Because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, right? The marketing, the buyers, the coordination, risk, time, effort, getting that deal to the closing table. And the numbers have to make sense for everybody involved and make sure that it's going to work. So maybe we come back and we say, hey, can you get the seller down just a little bit? Here's the number I think it'll sell at, which is very valuable information. Who here would like to know what the number is that they should be contracting these deals at? Or, hey, I think this is good, but you've only got 15 days left on your contract. I think we need a little bit more, right? And sometimes these small adjustments turn that maybe into a pass, which means let's go. I'm going to put my full team and resources to work on this so that you can get paid. That is the experience of having an experienced operator looking at your deals instead of going, cross my fingers, I sure hope this works, right? Now, sometimes we look at a deal and it just doesn't fit the model at all, and that brings us to fail. And this is where a lot of people get themselves into trouble. Remember, 50% of deals don't ever close. Listen, emotionally, we all want the deal to work. I get it. We talked to the seller. We've heard the story, right? Like we want it to work. Like the empathy part of our heart, even if we're the Grinch, there's still a little bit there, right? That's beating. But sometimes the data says otherwise. And most of the time, what causes this is it's a rural deal. No buyers, declining area, growth is shrinking, no investor demand, right? Nobody wants to rehab it because they can't sell it to anybody. Nobody wants to buy it as a landlord because there's no tenants to put in there, right? It's raw land. Fantastic. Who's building? The deck contractor, he is not coming over there to build a house, right? Because it's too small of an area. So with no investor demand, there's just no reason to do the deal. And guys, if there's no buyers, it's not going to sell, no matter how good any of us are. No renters, the landlords don't want it. And heck, there probably aren't even a lot of landlords in a town of 20,000 people, right? Also, if investors are leaving the area and moving somewhere else, there's probably nobody to pay you for the contract. And that's how we make money. And that's the reality. This is why, pick up your pencil. This is the thing you want to write down. This is why over 60% of deals in rural markets fail. This is the data. We have the data. Anybody really wants to see it, send me a message. I'm happy to jump on a Zoom and I can break it down exactly where this number comes from. Not because you didn't try hard, but because the market is working against you, right? And the worst things that you can have as an investor is to spend weeks or months chasing a deal that never had a realistic chance of closing, right? Shouldn't you have spent that money in a place where you knew all the buyers were? Because when these things fail, they kill your momentum and your confidence. And honestly, it kills your business. I see it all the time. So if we label something as a fail, that's not like being negative. That's just us trying to protect your time and energy and your marketing dollars and your focus, because you don't want to be chasing every contract. You want to chase the right contracts, contracts that actually pay you. So, David, all that being said, fantastic. Where should we go? Since you're so smart, tell us, right? Take a picture of the screen. This is one of the biggest takeaways of the whole day. So, the best wholesalers, they're not just better at marketing. In fact, they don't need to be good at marketing at all. Pick an area, get your deals from Cody. They're better at choosing where to market and where to buy their leads. This is the difference right here. Literally, this is the difference between the people who are successful and the people who aren't. Because after working 9,000 files, it's not a flex. I'm just telling you, this is the data. We can tell you with a lot of confidence. Some markets are dramatically easier to wholesale in than others. And it does shock me. I tell people this a lot, and sometimes they don't listen. A lot of times people don't listen. Um, they're making life harder on themselves by chasing deals in areas where there's no buyers. So what do we look for, right? What am I looking for in my own business? I want markets with strong population density, right? So I love, you can do this on Google. Google, give me a list of the counties or the cities or the MSAs with 250 to 750,000 people, right? I'm like Goldilocks. I don't want it to be too cold, meaning too small. I don't want it to be too hot. I don't want too much population. I want to be just right in the middle there, right? Where I can go in and absolutely dominate, not have a ton of competition. If you want to get really deep, has there been population growth? Because what do we know? Pay attention, guys. I'm giving you guys really good stuff here of how we picked markets when we were in 114 of them across the country. If people are going there, the little thing called supply and demand, right? Housing prices go up, rents go up. When those two things happen, investors take notice and they start buying there. So if you're grabbing wholesale deals there, now you can sell them to investors and landlords. It's very, very simple, right? Is there active investor activity going on? Everybody has PropStream or something similar to that. If you don't, you should message me. I'll give you a link for a free trial. But have there been cash transactions in the last 6 months? Are rents going up? Is there transactions happening? Is there repeatable deals going on? Because momentum matters, right? So if buyers are active, you'll find that these deals go really quick, right? It makes no sense to be locking up deals in the wrong area, right? If rents are strong, landlords will stay aggressive and buy, right? And that is not the same every place. I'm telling you, landlords are it's way more competitive with landlords down in Florida than it is in Ohio, right? And this is why we typically love the markets that are in this kind of 250 to 750 range, right? Um, it's got to be enough to have buyers. Then you compare that to like these declining rural markets, right? Or we we saw one the other day in Jackson, Mississippi. It's the fastest declining city in the United States. There's no buyers, no landlords, no investor activity, no momentum. Now, would those people go fill out a form on Cody's page? Of course, because they're begging for anybody to buy their property. But this is where you guys now have the advantage where you can look at that and go, Jackson, Mississippi, probably not a good place to be. I probably shouldn't price that like I do a house in Huntsville, which is a good market, right? So the smartest wholesalers in 2026, absolutely following the data and not just asking, how do I get more leads, right? So this is it. This is that complete system, right? This is what people are doing. They're getting their leads from Leadzolo, talking to the seller, contracting it, handing it off. Then they go right back to the top. Go get more leads. Seller, contract, hand it off. And then while you're working on 2 or 3 more deals, we're getting these sold. And then at the end, you get paid. It's really very simple. Like this is very, very simple. Simple is scalable, remember? So again, one of the very biggest mindsets in wholesaling in the industry that's happening right now is focus on the revenue. Let the systems do the rest. I was talking to somebody yesterday and she was kind of joking and she was talking about and she's works for a very large franchise company that does wholesaling. Um, the investors, the wholesalers who are good at paperwork and CRMs, they are not the people making money. If that's your claim to fame right now, that you know every single thing about your CRM and you're really good at paperwork and you probably have a clean desk, you're probably not making much money. There are a few exceptions, but not many, right? You've got to be focused on making money. Do not spend your time on things that don't put money in the bank, right? Trying to learn every skill and build this giant system and wear every single hat because it doesn't work. Focus on what actually grows the business and let the system that we have here handle the rest. So you want to absolutely be leveraging the specialists. Who are the specialists? Good accountants, good bookkeepers, attorneys, property managers, lead gen, right? Transaction coordination, a dispo team, right? This is what we do at EZREI Closings is we can help you focus on moving those deals, coordinating the process and getting the deal to the closing table. And you focus on opportunities and locking up those contracts. That's leverage. That is speed. That's how the smartest wholesalers are scaling right now. So we would love to talk to you about plugging into our system. And I promised that I would give you guys something very valuable for showing up today. And I did mean it. Again, I'm not trying to sell you anything today. I'm trying to help give you money. This QR code, it's going to give you access to the exact contract that I personally used over 1,547 closed deals, and I probably used it 2,000, 2,500 times over and over again. And I've curated it and cultivated it over the years, 100% free. I've used it for wholesale deals, creative deals, multifamily deals, all kinds of transactions. I'm not an attorney. I did not stay at a Holiday Inn last night. You should have this thing reviewed for your market. But one of the things that I love the most about this, and I really encourage you to scan this and download it, it's so simple. It's one page. It's clean. It's literally elegant, and it is built to get deals done. No giant, confusing 14-page realtor contract. This is what I tell sellers. Hey, this is so simple a third grader can understand it, right? Because I want to lower them and get them relaxed, right? Download it, use it, study it. 100% my gift to you for being here today. And you'll also get the ability after that to book a call with me and my team to see if working with us and our Dispo team, right, if that's what you should plug into to your system, right? So again, let me be super straightforward with you guys. This is a true partnership model. We are invested in this. I'm not trying to get $10,000 from you. That is not it. We will split these deals 50-50 because we're bringing serious infrastructure into your business. Buyers, marketing, title coordination, systems, follow-up, literally plugging you into a nationwide dispo team. So you don't need to spend $100,000 a year on software, right? Phone system, texting system, websites, investor lift, investor base, buyers, props. You don't need to do all that. You don't need to build giant dispo departments. I built them. They're very challenging, right? We have one out here now. Or manage all these tools and systems or try to recreate all of this from scratch, right? Your job, focus on opportunities and locking up contracts. We will help you move those deals faster and make sure we get to the closing table. I want you closing like some of our other clients, 70 or 80% of your deals. Think of what a difference that will make over the course of a year. So take out your phone, scan this now. I want you to have this contract. And I'm going to change the slides here in just a minute and turn this all back over to Hannah to close this out. So if you happen to be paying attention still, take a picture.